Okay, we are doing day 2 of mole bake spread. Let me share my screen here. Our team cooperation goal is still help and encourage others. Think about what that looks like and what that sounds like. Well, when you help and encourage others, you give hints, but not the answers, and you encourage them to do their best, and you thank people if they've helped you. We're working on cause and effect. Our word power is base words and endings, and we're going to be writing a descriptive paragraph. All right, so we are going to be filling in day 2 on our vocabulary sheet. So remember, you're going to put a plus if you know it, and a question mark if you're not sure. You're going to do it on the 2 row. Okay, so let's go over those. All right, our first word is baked. Baked means cooked in an oven. Here's a sentence. Julia heated the oven before she baked the cookies. The next word is mixed. Put together. Bryce mixed the powder and water to make a paste. Then we have ingredients. Ingredients are parts that go together to make something. Delicious. Delicious means tasty. Lily's pasta was so delicious that Bobby had seconds. Then we have silly. Silly means funny. The silly clown made all the children laugh. Then we have followed. Followed means went after. The baby ducks followed their mother to the pond. Our next word is worried. Worried means afraid or nervous. Because math was hard for Kyle, he was worried about the big test. And the last one, enjoy, means like. I enjoy going to the park with my best friend. Okay, so before we summarize our story map, we're going to go back to our story that we've been reading, The Beautiful Trains of James St. James. Okay, so we read this yesterday, and remember that James decided his train station and trains were dull, so he painted them bright colors and patterns, and it cheered up the townspeople who painted their homes and tidied up their gardens. So I'm going to start on page 8 here, and I'm going to read this to you. It says, as the days passed, all the people in Centerville stopped to see James Station, and they were pleased at what they saw. Soon his train station was busier than it had ever been. One day, the mayor of Centerville came to the station. He looked very excited. James St. James, you have the most famous trains in town, he said. Some very important business people want you to take their products from Centerville and deliver them to Middletown to be sold. James replied, that's very nice of you, Mr. Mayor, but my trains are for people, not for cargo. We've done so well in making our trains beautiful for the folks around here that I'm not sure that we'll do well carrying anything else. Of course you do well, James, laughed the mayor, and just to prove it, we'll bring 2 new train cars to you on the day after tomorrow. And on the day after that, you'll be making your first deliveries to Middletown. The mayor smiled. James St. James wasn't so sure. 2 days later, the new train cars arrived at Centerville Station. They looked like big gray boxes on wheels. Right away, James St. James tried to make them look more cheerful. He painted the first one yellow with bright pink polka dots, and he painted the other one green with small purple triangles. Truck after truck pulled up to the train station to unload goods into the new train cars. The first car was filled with jars of fresh honey. The second car was filled with flower seeds. When the loading was finished, James St. James pulled carefully out of the station. Okay, so let's think about our cause and effect chart that we kind of started last time. So let me show you this. Turn it around a little bit. Okay, so last time we said the train station, the train cars are dull. So the effect was James decides to paint them bright colors. Then we said the train station and the train are painted. The effect of that, it inspires the townspeople to spruce up their own houses. So think about James's paint job. What other effects did it have? Okay, well, maybe his train station becomes busier than ever because people want to see his work. What else? The mayor tells him that some important business people want to deliver their products to Middletown. And also another effect is James gets 2 new train cars to carry the products. Okay, so we're going to keep on working on cause and effect in that story. So let's think a little bit about our story that we've been reading. We've been reading Mole Bakes Bread. So we're just going to kind of add on the story map. Mole Bakes Bread. I'm going to put Mole Bakes Bread. Okay, and some of the characters that we've been introduced to so far have been Owl and Mole. Okay, and think about, where does the story take place? Have we figured that part out yet? Okay, so it takes place at Mole's house. And then it also says early one morning. That's when. We haven't really seen a problem yet in our story since we just started reading it. Okay, but let's answer this question. Why did Owl stop to visit Mole? Think about it from when we read last time. Well, if you remember, Owl was lying by and smelled something delicious. He was smelling the bread Mole was making. All right, let's go over our questions real quick. It says, why didn't Mole know who Owl was at first? Owl was wearing a costume. Owl was a stranger. Mole was wearing his glasses. Mole had poor eyesight. The next one says, record the cause on your T-chart. So you're going to pick out the cause. So here's the effect. Owl told Mole to look at his oven. Well, why did that happen? What was the cause of him telling him that? Reread the following sentence on page 6. Owl helped Mole pull the enormous loaf from the oven. In this sentence, enormous means very small, very big, sweet, or terrible. And then the last one says, tell one way Owl is a good friend to Mole. Okay, so you are going to be reading pages 4 and 5 and answering those questions. And let's look at our word power. The word treasure says sometimes when base word ends with Y and an ending is added, the Y changes to an I. If you're having trouble reading words like this, read the base word and ending first, then read the whole word. Let's look at some examples. So the word carried, think about it. What's the base word and the ending? Well, it's carried, and the ED is the ending. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross out Captain. Captain likes to cross it out, and then he's putting a little patch right here over it to show that that Y is going to change to an I to make carried. How about chewiest? Well, it's chewy and ist. Once again, Captain's going to cross out that Y and change it to an I and add EST. So there's the base word. So in bullied, what's the base word? Bully. And then ED is the ending. Change that Y to an I and add ED. And the last one is skinniest. You have skinny, you're going to change the Y to an I and add EST. So we've been talking about cause and effect and base words and endings. So make sure you read your pages and answer your questions.